Jamie, we're all digesting it. It's literally hot off the press. Of course, the news, I guess, our viewers will want to hear from you, your reactions that the National Hunt Chase is, A, changing to a handicap, but now open to the pros.
Yeah, look at it. It's hugely disappointing from an amateur's perspective. Like it's a race that's been there. You know, it's an amateur race since it was kind of started back in, I think it was 1860. Nearly it started. So like, you know, these changes have come in now, and not to have amateurs riding in it anymore. It's very, very disappointing.
I didn't think you were going to be saying anything else, Jamie, really. Of course, we've heard John Pullen and Ian Renton and course officials basically reasoning that the top pool of amateur jockeys was thinning and the likes of yourselves would be booked months in advance. What have you got to say about that?
Yeah, look at it. I suppose with the new conditions that it was changed into a handicap, you know, they could still have left it an amateur race. You know, I'm thinking going forward, like I've been very lucky enough to win it 3 times. It's been a listed or a grade 2 of in recent years, and that's been wonderful. And it's the highlight of an amateur's week, really, winning National Hunt Chase. You know, it's the one we all want to get our hands on because it's got that status. But even if it did drop back to a handicap, which is done now, I don't believe taking it away from the amateurs. I just can't understand why they have done it. You know, we need amateurs in this sport. National Hunt Racing needs young people coming into the sport with a dream of riding a Cheltenham winner. And you can say, fine, you have the Kim Muir still and the Fox Hunters, but, you know, there has to be a base for yards to encourage young people in to work. And taking away races like this from the amateurs, it's not going to happen overnight, but in time, you're going to see a serious lack of people wanting to become amateurs and work in yards.
I'm most disappointed that I knew nothing about this until 10 o'clock this morning, when I actually received a phone call from John to tell me about this change. It is a huge disappointment, and I cannot overemphasize that. Because within our membership, we've got a huge variety of riders from all different backgrounds, and these races mean the absolute world to them. They work really hard, most of them, well, all of them work, either in racing or have a career which sustains their racing. And they aspire to ride in 3 particular races during the season: the Derby at Epsom, for which we have a ladies' and a gentleman's race, the Kim Muir, and the National Hunt Chase. And to hear that this has just been taken away from us without any warning whatsoever, it's almost as if it's been an afterthought, having been following the other changes. I can't believe that we weren't even allowed to put in an appeal for it or a case for it, or even see that perhaps we could have tweaked those race conditions, which had been actually stating that jockeys had to have Cat B licences and have ridden 20 winners under rules. Certainly that takes quite a lot of doing, because most amateur jockeys use the amateur jockey route in order to progress from that, along with point-to-pointing for experience, towards a professional career. But there remain a nucleus of highly talented jockeys, some of whom will be riding very much better and have a lot more experience than some of our professional jockeys, and it seems very harsh that we have lost this historic race.
It's interesting. You've touched on something there, Sarah, which strikes me as a bit of a catch-22 in a way, because one of the justifications, I don't know whether John Pullen gave this to you personally in your chat, but certainly he's said publicly, is that there isn't really the pool of riders now for this National Hunt Chase, which is resulting in small fields and so on. But one of the reasons, of course, is because the requirements to ride in the race have become very, very stringent, which must reduce the pool of riders. Is there any logic in what he's saying?
Well, perhaps we could have, you know, it takes quite a lot of doing for an amateur to actually ride 20 winners over fences. We haven't got many amateur chases within the calendar. Exactly. Where my job is constantly fighting to retain the amount of races that we have got. Certainly they can ride against professionals, but many owners, obviously, if they're given the choice of either an amateur or a professional jockey, are always going to go down the professional route. So it is quite a testing criteria for those jockeys to be able to participate, and perhaps we could have had another look at that, and actually, perhaps we could have said 15 wins, and this would have opened the pool up to more riders that could have been available.
I think when you sit down and look at the National Hunt Chase, it was a 4-mile chase, novice chase, to be ridden by amateur jockeys. Nobody in this day and age would ever look at that and think it's a sensible thing to have a novice chase over an extended trip ridden by the inexperienced jockeys.
Because, Jamie, just expand on that.
Sorry?
Because?
Well, you don't want an inexperienced jockey riding an inexperienced horse over fences over 4 miles.
I wondered whether that was part of the subtext, because what the Jockey Club have said is that the pool of riders now qualified, which is partly because the restrictions have changed for the riders as well, means that there aren't sufficient riders for this. But I can't help remembering also they've attracted an awful lot of suspensions and so on, haven't they, over the years, unfortunately, the amateur riders, because of the conditions and the extreme nature of the race and all that sort of stuff. I wondered if that was in people's minds as well in the background. Sounds like it might be in yours.
Oh, listen, if you and I were sitting down and saying, what race should we have at the Cheltenham Festival? And we came up with a 4-mile chase for novice horses and novice riders, people would think we're nuts.